My mother says that when I was a very small child, I used to beg her to teach me to read. She'd tell me that once I was old enough to go to school, they'd teach me how to read there. But I'd ask her over and over and over, relentless in my pursuit to decipher these magical worlds that I knew my books held within their pages. My love affair with books began a long time ago, and still they fascinate and thrill me every day. I believe that every home, especially those that are lucky enough to house children, should have a library. But a home library can come in many different forms. You are only limited to your imagination. Maybe you have space to dedicate an entire room to a library, or maybe you scatter shelves and bookcases around your home. There are so many ways to display books. Maybe your house is already full of books, but they aren't organized to your liking. Or maybe you're just starting out, collecting books that you love, and you'd like some inspiration as to how and where to place them. I hope that this video gives you fresh ideas and encourages you to let your books take center stage in your home. Some years ago, I decided that I was going to start getting serious about book organization in our home, so I spent 2 weekends going through each and every book that we owned. It was no small task, but I very much enjoyed putting my hands and eyes on each one to assess whether it was worthy enough to stick around. I had my daughter go through my very large box of books that didn't make the cut, just to be sure that there wasn't something in there that she loved, since she has read every single children's book in our home, many of them more than once. So after I had every book laid out on the floor in piles and falling down stacks, I then divided them up into children's and adult books. I'd estimate that about 90% of our books are for the children, so organizing our adult books was a piece of cake. I put my husband's together and then mine. I have almost all nonfiction books, so I organized those by my 5 main categories, which are gardening, homesteading, things related to parenting, birth and pregnancy, cookbooks and food-related books, and psychology and counseling books. Those and my husband's were put on the higher shelves. The big task then came, the children's books. I found that the easiest thing to do was just separate them into fiction and nonfiction first. One pile on one side of the room and the other across the room. Now I know that we have lots of nonfiction animal books, so I started with that category. I also knew that we have a lot of novels, so I made a stack of those. I made a stack of board books for babies and then a stack of elementary level picture books. When you are organizing your books, you probably will have a good idea of which types of books you have a lot of. You can make piles of similar books. When it's all said and done, you'll be able to see how much is in each pile, and that will give you a good idea about where on your bookshelf that category will fit best. I like to keep my baby board books on ground level for easy access. That way even a crawling baby is able to look through his or her books whenever they choose. And I keep picture books just one level off the ground so that toddlers are able to reach them. The rest of the books are just placed on the shelf that has enough space to fit that category. Here we have our history section that we pull from often, just for pleasure reading and also when one of them relates to our history lessons. You'll see lots of books about ancient Egypt on the left because it happens to be one of my girls' areas of interest. Here are our picture books. We have 2 shelves of picture books and I try to keep most of the golden books in the little basket to the right just for easier sorting. They like to pick one out at night for me or my husband to read, and they like to look at the covers when they are young. Now we've had a lot of picture books come through our home, but the ones you see here are the ones that someone in this house decided should stay. These 2 shelves contain what I call our novels. Some of them might not technically be novels, but for one reason or another, I feel that they belong here. These are mostly books that I read aloud to my children, or books that I've collected knowing that they will read them on their own in the future. Now is a good time to mention that I source about 95% of our books from thrift stores, library sales, or library giveaways. I like to pay next to nothing for books, and I like to find them as if they are treasure. Occasionally, I'll find a single book that belongs to a set or a series, and it's so wonderful that I'll order the additional books, but that has been a very rare occurrence. Here's one of our nonfiction areas, and it contains books mostly about nature, the earth, the solar system, so a lot of science type of books. And then on the second shelf I put all of what I call hobby books. So there are books on things like origami, kids gardening, chess, lots of craft books, and so on. I also keep our poetry books here because we don't have many, so they fit nicely here. There's a spot for books that my girl claims is her own. She's currently making her way through all of Roald Dahl's books, so these are here together along with some other fun books that she's recently been interested in or plans to read soon. Then I have my cookbooks, which I prefer to keep scattered around my kitchen and dining room rather than in the library. I like the way they look and the homey vibe that they add to those spaces, and I also like them being nearby when I'm cooking and looking for them. So I thought I'd go ahead and give a quick flip through of some of the books that really stand out to us and that we really love. My daughter suggested I do a 10-part series of book videos because she said there's just no way to fit it all into one, and she's right. So while this certainly won't be a comprehensive list of our favorite books, these are all fantastic. Here's one of my favorite history books, and it's easy to see why. So I'm flipping backwards through time here, but you can see how truly amazing it is. If you look up at the top left corner, you can see the topics and how it goes through each over time. Truly just a fantastic book, and it's easy for even an adult to get caught up in it and have an hour pass without realizing it. This World History Encyclopedia is also great. My children love the illustrations and that each topic is not full of an overwhelming amount of information, but covers enough to be interesting. I had to include one of our first facts books because my daughter is in love with this series. The illustrations are incredibly detailed and you can look at them forever, kind of like a Where's Waldo scene, but with people doing really cool things from the past. Here's a modern book. My children actually got this one for Christmas. It was at Five Below. Again, not super detailed, but more of an overview, and again, fantastic illustrations. And you might be seeing a pattern here. We are all suckers for a well-illustrated book. Okay, so if someone made me pick my absolute favorite children's book in our whole library, it would be this one, without a doubt. In fact, I like this one so much that I ordered a second copy just in case something catastrophic happens to my first one. And since it's a very old book, there aren't many left to be sourced. This book is just so great in so many ways, and yes, you guessed it, illustrations are top notch. We use this one often for our science lessons. The kids like to flip through it for research purposes, and they end up getting sucked in just like I do and lose track of time. I just really love this book. This is another amazing book, but not so much for the illustrations or the photography, but for the rich literature and vocabulary that is lacking in so many modern books these days. Nonfiction Reader's Digest books are my favorite for this reason, and I rarely pass them up. This has served as our main science curriculum book for many years, and we use it as a starting point for our unit studies and then branch off from here. Here are two books that are for preschool age children, and I love these two so much that I keep them on a high shelf in the schoolroom, and they only come out when I'm there to look at them with the children. They are fragile, and like so many other vintage books, just not a lot of them left. So you can see that it's very educational, but includes things you probably won't find in any modern nonfiction books for preschool age. Again, illustrations are just phenomenal, and if you stick around to see me flip through this second one, you'll see that it's even better than this first one. Here's an example of a book that I found at a thrift store and then went ahead and ordered the whole series from eBay because it was just too good. It's called The Golden Treasury of Knowledge, and about once or twice a week I'll let my kids take turns picking out a topic from one of these books. I read it aloud, then they make a little notebook entry with a few facts that they learned along with some art. It's one of their favorite parts of school and so much fun for all of us to do together, regardless of the ages. You can see these topics vary greatly, and the kids pick them based on what they are currently into or maybe just their mood that day. Here's another great set that we love. It's for early readers. I think I paid around $10 for this set at a thrift store off the beaten path, and I'm so happy that I found it. I have collected many childcraft books over the years, and my girl really loves these. There are so many topics to explore and get lost in. And one of my favorite sections is our reference books or pocket guides. We use these often with our school lessons, and whenever the kids find something out in nature, we reference these before Googling. There's something so rewarding and even magical about learning from a book that the internet just can't compete with. Here's a quick flip through of my favorite reference book. Unmatched beautiful illustrations and very informative. And here's one more flip through of one of my favorites. It's a manners book, and just a small bit of it is outdated, but mostly it's spot on and is a really good starting point to talk to my children about manners. It presents a lot of topics that I don't think I would have even thought to talk to them about, and as homeschool children who aren't being taught how to conduct themselves from other school children or from teachers or other adults during the day, that responsibility falls on me, and I am truly honored to bear the weight of it. We go through this book occasionally, and it sparks insightful and important conversations. I have an early reader section here in the schoolroom, and many of the books that I mentioned us referencing for school are also kept in the schoolroom. So I guess I think of a home library as just that, the home as one big library. Rich, meaningful, living, beautiful books that open our minds and hearts and encourage us to grow and expand every day. Every time I find an amazing book, I can't imagine our home without it. So my children usually peruse the shelves every night before bed. They pick out a book for one of us to read aloud, and they also pick out one or two to look at after we're finished reading to them. A pile of red books accumulates near their bed, so I have placed baskets there for collecting the books. About once a week, I sort through those return baskets, as we call them, and I return the books to their rightful place on the shelves. They know that it's best not to put a book back unless they are absolutely sure where it belongs. My 11 and 9-year-old know where they belong, but my 6-year-old is still learning. I suppose that I could make my 11 and 9-year-old return all of their books, but I also think it's special to have some things that Mom does for them. You know that feeling when you're at the library and there's no limit to how many books you can rummage through because there's always someone there to return them for you? That's how I want them to feel. The freedom to experience as many books as they'd like with no repercussions of the dreaded cleanup. Don't worry, we don't follow this rule in every aspect of our home. But when it comes to our library, I encourage overconsumption and reckless abandon. Sometimes I get to tuck away with my own book, although those moments are few and sometimes far between. It's okay though. I know that those days of reading for hours at a time are not so far away, and if I'm being honest, I'm dreading them. I'm content to be interrupted every paragraph or so. These years are dedicated to the togetherness of our family, and there's nothing like a good and beautiful book to draw everyone in.